Last Friday, Friday the 18th of November, I headed down to York for BBC History Magazine's History Festival. And while I was there, I decided that I'd make a video to tell you guys about what I've been up to this weekend. As the name indicates, York History Festival is a festival dedicated to history. So basically what goes on is there are lots of speakers, or obviously people who have an education in history. So for example, people who do shows on the television, who write books, and they then give lectures and they give talks on various eras and topics related to history at this event. And as I said, I went down for the weekend to see 3 of the talks. Now on the Friday, I went down to see Julian Richards, who is an expert on the Vikings, although more specifically on the Great Heathen Army. And I found his talk really, really interesting. So his talk was based mostly upon the architectural finds that have been found about the Great Heathen Army, which are maybe giving us a different point of view about this huge Viking army which savaged England in the 9th century. Now, on Saturday I didn't have any lectures, but I was out and about in York, which, by the way, if you get the chance to, is a really, really good medieval, Dark Ages Roman city to visit. There's lots and lots of history, absolutely loads. And when Jorvik, which is the Viking Museum, reopens, it will really be worth a visit. So I highly recommend visiting York if you get the chance to. And on Sunday, I went down again to see Anna Key, who is an expert on the Stuarts and the Jacobites. And her talk was about the Duke of Monmouth, who was a royal rebel in 1685, who challenged James II, but unfortunately he lost. And then the lecture which she gave was about his life and how he is being presented by history and all the new things that she had found out about him, which she published in a book. Now, all of these talks that I went to are based on books that these people had written, which you could also buy there and then get signed by the author. So if these topics sound interesting to you, have a look, because they've written books about them, and you can read those books obviously and get a greater understanding of what's going on with these topics. Now, after Anna Key, a few hours after that, I went to see Tom Holland, who is a fabulous speaker if you ever get the chance to. And his speech was about King Athelstan, who was the grandson of Alfred the Great and was basically the man who unified England as we know it. So it's basically thanks to this guy that we have England as we know it today. We have England, and then because we have England, we also have Scotland and Wales as different entities. And that was a really interesting speech, which he based around different coins from the different periods and what they told us about what was going on. So that's how I've been spending my weekend at York, which I really, really enjoyed. Unfortunately, I've come down a little bit ill from York, as it is a very cold city, especially at this time of year. But hopefully I'll get back into regular uploading soon. Now, I will be making a few videos about the different talks that I went to and what I learned. So there'll be a video on the Great Heathen Army and the different things that Julian Richards enlightened me about. I'll be making a video about the Duke of Monmouth, which Anna Key obviously told me about in her speech, as well as a video on King Athelstan and some other things that I picked up in that speech, because I also bought a book by Tom Holland and had it signed there. So I'll be making a few videos from new things that I learned from these books as well. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed this little video just to tell you guys how I spent my weekend, because I think it is history related, and I would highly recommend, if you get the chance to subscribe to BBC History Magazine, to buy copies of it, and to go to this history festival. Now, it happens every year around the end of November, and there is an event in York and an event in Malmesbury. So one in the north pretty much and one in the south. So if you can, I would highly recommend getting yourself down for these events if you're interested in history and you are in the area or you live close to there, because it really is worth your while, and you'll learn a lot. Especially at least I have learned a lot this weekend, and I went last year as well, and I plan to go next year. So I would highly recommend this. Alright, thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. This has been History with Hilbert.